I'm Ashley Legasic.
And I'm Catherine DeClerc.
And we make up CTV's newest podcast, Life Unmasked.
We'll bring you everything you need to know about exactly how we're going to return to normal life post-pandemic.
New episodes come out every Thursday morning on iHeartRadio, and they're available on all streaming platforms later in the day.
We hope you'll tune in.
Are we on the verge of passport patchwork in this province? Cities and health units considering their own proof of vaccination, with Ontario standing firm in its refusal to join others across the country. Good evening. No matter who's behind the move, many experts agree a vaccine certificate is simply inevitable.
And that already has some at the local level looking at how the measure could be effective at stopping the spread of COVID-19. CTV's Natalie Johnson is live with more. Natalie.
Well, Michelle, as calls grow for this province to adopt a stronger standard, some local leaders say that if Ontario doesn't act, they may take vaccine certificates into their own hands. Quebec calls it a passport to freedom, but Ontario's government continues to resist calls for a vaccine certificate.
I have no qualms about a passport at all. I think that we all have a civic responsibility to take care of each other.
I feel like we're in a time where we have to just accept, we have to do what we got to do.
I think we're responsible for each other, so we got to step in and step up.
The Ministry of Health today denied reports that Ontario would soon adopt a vaccine passport, insisting the paper or electronic COVID-19 vaccine receipt issued at the time of vaccination was adequate proof. Peel Region's top doctor, though, disagrees, saying in the absence of a more substantial provincial vaccine certificate, local public health units are exploring creating their own.
I am reiterating my call to the province to implement a vaccine certificate program. In the short term, vaccine certificates can help to reduce transmission and limit risk for those who are unvaccinated in settings where precautions cannot be consistently maintained.
Ward 1.
Yes.
Thank you. Ward 2.
Yes.
Mississauga City Council joined the chorus today, calling for a stronger Ontario standard.
The more voices we speak with, it does add a little bit of pressure that the time is now.
Mayor John Tory, meanwhile, said that a regional system could be in the cards if the province refuses to act.
I think the provincial option is far preferable, but regional would be a second choice because that's better than local, where just given people moving around between Toronto and York and Peel and Durham and parts beyond that, you just have something that might be recognized in one place and not in another.
But the mayor says an Ontario-wide Vax Pass would be most effective so that an app, QR code or card could be used seamlessly across the province. And John Tory stresses that one of the big benefits of a provincial system is that the province already owns all the data surrounding who has been vaccinated with how many doses and when. Reporting live, I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. Across Ontario, the province says more than 82.4% of eligible people have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. And more than 75.3% of eligible people in Ontario have received both doses. That represents more than 9.8 million people. Those of us in Ontario don't need to look very far to find examples of vaccine passports already in play.
Our neighbors in Quebec now have access to the tool, and some technology developed back in this province could prove critical as we move forward. CTV's John Woodward is live with more. John.
Nathan, the Vaccine Passport app is a reality in Quebec. You can download it right now, and there's an Ontario company hoping to mirror what it does right here.
They can add a new document to their wallet by simply clicking here.
This is what the new Canatrace Perimeter Vaccine Passport app looks like, made in Toronto.
Businesses are looking for somebody to step up and give them guidance, right? And we're simply saying, here's a solution. It's free.
Asif Khan says people download proof of vaccination using their health cards, and that can be checked by a venue without sharing other personal details.
This is just being done in a digital, secure, privacy-compliant framework.
It's one version of many vaccine passport apps in development in some parts of Canada, aiming to meet the needs of government and businesses trying to keep customers safer. In Quebec, there are two. VaxiCode allows users to upload proof of vaccination, and venues use its partner, VaxiCode Verif, to check it.
What we know is that where vaccine certificates and passports are put into place, that vaccination actually does go up.
The provinces in green have announced a vaccine passport plan with proof required to enter many businesses or sporting events. The provinces in yellow offer a centralized certificate with no mandate. The provinces in red have no passports or only offer receipts. Ontario is in that category. Its receipts say how many vaccines you've had, but there's no larger system in place. The Canadian government is rolling a system out. A digital passport shouldn't leave out people who don't have phones, says Dr. Nahid Dosani.
Vaccine certificates should really be seen as a pro-business, pro-economic intervention that will actually allow us to move on and through this pandemic in society and allow businesses to thrive, to stay open.
Quebec and BC now and Manitoba have come out with some sort of provincial announcement that the government is providing a solution. Here in Ontario, obviously we've heard that they're not. And so they're relying on private sector to do that.
Vector Labs isn't waiting for a government contract, saying their app will be available for free download by customers and venues as soon as it's approved by Apple's App Store.
That you're doing weekly testing.
Quebec's app won't work with Ontario credentials. We tried, but it looks like people in Ontario will soon have options. Reporting live from Yorkville, I'm John Woodward. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, John. Turning to the newest case count from across the province. Public Health Ontario is reporting 660 new cases in its most recent update. 525 of those cases are among people who are either not fully vaccinated or their vaccination status is unknown. The province's positivity rate is now sitting at 2.4%. More than 26,000 tests were processed in the last 24 hours.
572 more cases are considered resolved, raising that total to nearly 547,000 over the course of the pandemic. One more death is linked to the virus, meaning 9,472 lives have been lost to COVID-19 in Ontario.
Tonight's regional breakdown includes 151 new cases in the city of Toronto, with 93 in York Region. There are 86 new cases in Hamilton, 52 in Peel, and 21 in Durham. Halton Region has 20 new cases, with 11 in Niagara.
Meanwhile, a new report is indicating Ontario won't reach herd immunity against COVID-19 until younger children can get vaccinated. Herd immunity is defined as the point when enough people have protection against a virus, either through infection or immunization. Public Health Ontario says the threshold is now at least 90% of the population. That's a larger chunk than is currently eligible for the shots. Since none have been approved for those under 12, that green light isn't expected for at least a few months.
And a reminder, our online team is tracking every development with Ontario's COVID-19 pandemic response. You can find their coverage at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Turning to a developing situation in the city's Silverthorne neighborhood, the discovery of a body near Keele Street and Rogers Road. Police say the remains were found in a suitcase. CTV's John Musselman is live at the scene tonight with more. John.
Well, Michelle, police just cleared the scene a short time ago. The body was found in the dumpster behind me. The body was removed from the scene late this afternoon inside this black van. It was discovered around 11:30 this morning on Keele Street and Rogers Road. The age and gender of the deceased has not been released by police, but they confirm the body was found with obvious signs of trauma inside a suitcase.
My buddy told me that in the dumpster they found a body. He doesn't know more information than that. I live a couple blocks away. It's pretty scary to tell you the truth.
An autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. The homicide squad has been notified. The body was discovered beside a building on Keele, south of Rogers Road. Toronto police have sealed off the area. Forensic officers spent most of the day gathering evidence at the scene. And a postmortem is scheduled to be held tomorrow. That's when we should get more information about the person who was discovered here in this dumpster. Anyone with information is asked to call Toronto Police or Crime Stoppers. Reporting live at the scene, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. It is another sweltering evening across the GTA. Hot, humid, hazy right across southern Ontario. Feeling close to 40 at some points today. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. It's downright steamy. What are you seeing in the way of potential showers tonight?
Yeah, we do have a few showers making their way across the GTA at this hour, Michelle. There's been a little bit of cloud cover as well, which has inhibited our warm up also. A couple of sprinkles of rain around Durham region, for example. There was at one point earlier today a thunderstorm warning in place for the Peterborough area. Temperature at Pearson International is 29, but it continues to feel like 37 out there. It feels like 38 in Niagara Falls. It continues to feel like 40 in the Sarnia area. So no surprise that we remain under a heat warning. It will be in place through the day tomorrow as well. And then there's a little bit of relief on the way. We'll talk about Friday and your weekend forecast coming up. For now, Nathan, over to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Canada's mission in Afghanistan is shifting with the realization there's not enough time to get everyone out safely before the looming deadline.
The Minister of National Defense says the situation on the ground is worsening by the hour, but won't say when the last Canadian flight will leave. CTV's Raheem Ladani is in the studio tonight with the latest. Raheem.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, let's do the math. The U.S. military operation has to be wrapped up in 6 days and will take at least a day or two to wind down. Canada and other allies have to be gone before then and also need time to pack up. So realistically, Canadian armed forces have at most 72 hours to rescue as many people as they can. Showing documents while wading through knee-deep water, hoping someone will help. Desperation to flee Afghanistan is growing.
Every day I'm contacting with different people, with my friends, with my family members, even with my nephew that he is still trying to get to the airport. Well, when I'm seeing the pictures, when I'm seeing the videos, I just start crying. What's happening in Afghanistan?
The deadline to withdraw all military forces from Kabul's airport is in 6 days. But Canada's mission will end even sooner, with no clear answer on how many more rescue flights the Canadian military has scheduled.
It is not done overnight, and it comes with significant risks. As the Americans finalize their drawdown to meet their deadline, partner nations, including Canada, must draw down our troops, assets, and aircraft ahead of the Americans.
Canada has airlifted 2,700 people out of Kabul, including Canadian citizens and Afghan nationals. But several hundred families are being kept in safe houses for protection from the Taliban and will not make it out before August 31st.
We're already working on a future contingency to get them out over the various land routes, whether that's to Pakistan, Tajikistan, or Uzbekistan. That is their only option, and they do have to leave the country because they are targets.
Officials say visas will remain valid for those who aren't able to escape after Canada committed to resettling 20,000 Afghan refugees, but with few details for how the next phase will work.
We will continue to support Afghans wishing to resettle in Canada after the military evacuation concludes. We will remain in communication with those who have applied under our immigration programs.
As the journey for many will soon become even more challenging. Meanwhile, Women and Gender Equality Minister Maryam Monsef is coming under fire for comments she made today about the Taliban. She referred to them as brothers. She said it's a cultural reference and that Muslims refer to one another as brother and sister, but continues to believe the Taliban is a terrorist organization. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Raheem. And as he mentioned, the U.S. has set a deadline of August 31st to withdraw its forces from Afghanistan. But the Biden administration has ordered contingency plans to be drawn up in case evacuations are not complete by then.
The expectation of the international community is that people who want to leave Afghanistan after the U.S. military departs should be able to do so. Together, we will do everything we can to see that that expectation is met.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the effort to help people who want to leave Afghanistan will continue as long as it takes.
And the situation in Afghanistan was front and center on the federal campaign trail today.
Party leaders also rolled out policies on pocketbook issues and mental health supports for Canadians. CTV's Heather Butts has more.
Canada's evacuation effort in Afghanistan will wind down before the Americans' planned pullout on August 31st, and the crisis is dominating the conversation on the campaign trail.
We will continue to work with the international community to get as many Afghans to safety, not just in the coming days with the current operation, but into the coming months.
That Mr. Trudeau has abandoned people that are at risk from the Taliban, a brutal regime, because they helped Canada.
The urgency of the situation overshadowing policy announcements today geared towards pandemic recovery. Aaron O'Toole highlighting the need for more mental health services.
1 in 5 Canadians suffers from symptoms of depression, anxiety, or operational stress.
If elected, a Conservative government would provide $150 million in grants to nonprofits delivering mental health and wellness programming over 3 years, create a nationwide 3-digit suicide prevention hotline, and encourage employers to add mental health coverage to benefit plans or provide a tax credit for 25% of the cost of additional coverage. Campaigning in Surrey, BC, and dogged by protesters, Justin Trudeau outlined a plan to dip into the profits of big banks and insurance companies.
Given that our banks have posted extraordinary large profits, have continued to be incredibly successful, including through a pandemic where everyone else had to tighten their belts, we're going to ask them to do a little bit more.
The policy would raise corporate income tax by 3% on earnings over $1 billion for Canada's banks and insurance companies, establish the Canada Recovery Dividend so these institutions contribute more over the next 4 years. The Liberals say these measures will generate $2.5 billion per year. Campaigning in a border city where residents often deal with cell phone roaming rates, the NDP is focusing on battling those bills.
We're going to take on the big telco and say, you've got to stop gouging people.
The NDP say they'll create a price cap for cell phones and internet that's below the global average, declare high-speed internet an essential service and ensure all Canadians have access within 4 years, and introduce a telecom consumers' Bill of Rights to protect from unfair sales and service tactics. Leaders are all campaigning in regions of the country today where they're hoping to make gains in a race where pressing world issues are trumping their platform promises. Heather Butts, CTV News, Toronto.
Green Party leader Annamie Paul campaigned in her riding of Toronto Centre today, saying her party would take steps to prepare Canada's pandemic readiness.
We saw our healthcare system brought to its knees during the pandemic as well. And so this is the time for us to reimagine and redesign and reevaluate.
Paul said those steps could include improving long-term care, streamlining coordination between Ottawa and the provinces, and stepping up domestic production and supply chains.
And for the very latest on the campaign and to find out where the polls stand on the Nanos Daily Ballot Tracker, you can find full coverage at elections.ctvnews.ca.
Later tonight, making history for more than one reason at the Tokyo Summer Games. Soccer star Quinn reflects on their success.
And I'm Pat Ford, and coming up on Consumer Alert, the microchip shortage has impacted the production of new cars and trucks, and it's also increased the price of many used vehicles. If you're searching for a new set of wheels now more than ever, you'll want to make sure you're paying a fair price. We have some good advice that's just ahead.
Another scorcher today in the city. We ended up climbing to a daytime high of 31.4 degrees in Toronto. Factor in the humidity, and it felt like 39. It wasn't as hot as yesterday. That's when we climbed to 34 degrees. And we were not expecting to break the temperature record today, which was all the way up at about 38. But we anticipated that this could have been one of our hotter days of the summer so far. I'll remind you of the fact that June 6th, we climbed all the way to 33.8 degrees. So that's the winner right now, if you will. Yesterday, we came close, just shy of that number. There's more hot weather on the way in the long-range forecast after a little bit of a break. We'll talk about that and your weekend weather forecast coming up here on CTV News. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Next to the investigation into a scary incident on a Pickering street. A car crashed into a home, leading to a large fire.
Tonight, witnesses are sharing dramatic accounts of what they saw. CTV's Mike Walker is live with more. Mike.
Well, witnesses described a series of events. They described seeing a car crash into a house multiple times, and within minutes, the house was engulfed in flames. Video captured by a neighbor shows a blue car crashing into the garage of a Pickering home. The car then reverses out, taking off the garage door, and appears to accelerate into the garage again.
Does that, I don't know, about 4 or 5 times. What brought it on is, what you're left with.
The incident also captured by contractors working at a home down the street just after 5 Tuesday afternoon.
Just look back and a car drove into the garage and then pulled back out, drove into again.
Go get it up, man. With his phone rolling, Adam West and his colleague Anthony Casino rush over.
She's letting me for something.
And approach the woman in the car.
Hey! You gotta get out of the car, honey.
Noticed she was trying to light the car on fire.
West calls police while Casino is seen here attempts to get the woman out of the car.
I had her out down about to the sidewalk. She was screaming, pulling away, and then she got away from me and she ran somewhere down the side of the house, and I didn't see her again. That's when the fire...
Moments later, smoke starts billowing from the garage. Within minutes, flames could be seen shooting from the house. Durham police apprehended the woman nearby under the Mental Health Act. The 37-year-old is facing several charges, including arson, damage to property, dangerous operation of a conveyance, mischief to property, endangering life. The fire damage to the home is extensive. The car that plowed into the house charred in the driveway. Investigators with the fire marshal's office on their hands and knees this afternoon sifting through the debris for evidence.
We are finding some evidence, but we'll have to put it all together later.
Police say one person was inside the home and escaped after hearing the vehicle repeatedly crashing into the garage. They were not injured. Now, the woman was held for a bail hearing. Investigators are appealing to anyone who may have information about what happened to contact them. Reporting live in Pickering, I'm Mike Walker. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. And you can see more of that video on our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For most people, buying a vehicle is the second largest purchase they'll ever make. And prices of many cars, trucks, and SUVs have gone up during the pandemic.
A new study found that many millennials shopping for their first car are unaware of all their options when negotiating to buy. Pat Foran has some advice for us on Consumer Alert. Pat.
I do, Nathan and Michelle. Thank you. Right now is a difficult time to buy a car. There are shortages due to a lack of microchips and other parts, and inflation is making new and used vehicles cost more. OMVIC has just launched a new campaign to inform younger buyers and everyone else of their car buying rights. Some vehicles are now selling above their sticker price. Consumer Reports says the Jeep Compass is selling for 15% over MSRP, the Chevrolet Silverado 17%, and the Kia Telluride 18%. It's caused the price of used vehicles to go up too.
The average price of a used car has jumped 12.5% over the past year.
It makes car buyers like Dan Barkham a bit nervous.
I just don't think I'm the best car buyer. I'm not good at negotiating or anything like that.
OMVIC, which oversees vehicle sales in Ontario, has a new campaign to educate drivers to know their rights when buying a vehicle.
This is a car dealer ad, just like dealer ads you see online.
At omvic.ca, there is a series of car buying tutorials on all-in pricing, dealing with curbsiders, and buying a car privately. A common mistake some buyers make is to sign a contract to purchase a car and then change their mind. There is no cooling off period in Ontario.
Before you sign anything, make sure you know what you're buying, you're happy with the transaction, and you've read the contract. Once you've signed that contract, that deal is solid and you own that vehicle.
When buying a vehicle, a salesperson may try to sell you add-ons such as rust-proofing, extended warranties, and gap insurance. They may also try to deal in monthly payments when you should concentrate on the total cost of the vehicle.
The salesperson will try to keep the focus on your monthly payment. Insist on negotiating on one thing at a time. Lock in the price of your new car first. Then you can begin discussing a trade-in or financing.
If you're financing the vehicle, make sure you take your time to understand all the terms, including the interest rate.
You know, you make a mistake on a transaction that can cost you a few $1,000s, and that's an expensive education.
As for Barkham, he found a vehicle, but says for his next car, he'll take more time when doing his search. And when buying a used car, you should check to see if there are any open recalls and research the year, make, and model of the vehicle. You'll find hundreds of reviews online that can help you make your decision. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, another hot one felt like 40 today.
I feel like when the heat finally lets up, it's going to be freezing because we've been so used to this for so long, Lindsay.
Yeah, it's going to be refreshing, that's for sure, but freezing is one way to put it. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, it is hot and humid out there again today, so that's nothing new. But I do have something new to share with you tonight. Before we get to your forecast, we want to tell you about the fall 2021 Princess Margaret Home Lottery to conquer cancer with one big prize after another. weather. Tickets are $100 each, a 3-pack for $250, a 5-pack for $375, or 10-pack for $700. And prizes include this fully furnished $6.6 million grand prize show home in Oakville, built by PCM Inc. and professionally designed by Brian Gluckstein. Open concept, 5 bedrooms, a fitness center, home theater, and spa. Absolutely stunning. And the home also comes with a 2022 all-electric Jaguar and $1 million cash. Now that is a grand prize, but it's not the only one. There's also a $3.1 million grand prize Toronto show home, professionally decorated by Haddington Developments, the interior by Palmerston Design Consultants Inc., and there's a $1.3 million Blue Mountain grand prize show home built by Georgian Communities and decorated by Ashley Montgomery Design. There's also a Niagara on the Lake grand prize show home, valued at $1.3 million, built by Woodcastle Developments. Those homes all come with a $100,000 cash prize as well. And then there's a bonus prize, a Toronto condo. The world-famous early bird prize is a Muskoka lakefront cottage. There's vacations, electronics, and so much more. In fact, over 40,000 prizes will be awarded total. So make sure you visit princessmargaretlotto.com or call 1-866-631-1234 to get your tickets today. And now to your forecast. Weather is brought to you by Train. For home comfort, cooling, and clean air, it is hard to stop a train. So another warm day today. Yes, we know that. There's been a few showers and thunderstorms as a result. Current look at the satellite and radar doesn't show too much activity around the GTA, but it is cloudy and is expected to be for the next couple of hours before that starts to clear out for us. Not for good, though. We do have a cold front, and ahead of and along this front, there's potential for stormy weather. The cold front, also what's going to help cool us down as we make our way, especially into the day on Friday. First, let's talk about potential showers. Maybe waking up tomorrow morning, there could be a few sprinkles of rain. Once again, a little bit of cloud cover expected around the GTA, but that's going to clear out quite nicely through the afternoon. Chance of a pop-up shower or two into the afternoon. It's Friday, though, that I'm watching for the potential for some stormy weather starting in the morning hours, maybe around southern Georgian Bay, in through the Muskoka region. Best opportunity for us here in the GTA is going to come a little bit later in the afternoon or evening. The models disagreeing a little bit when it comes to the timing of those potential storms, but just keep it in mind. Saturday, there's a possibility for this as well, but I'm not expecting your weekend to be a washout. Let me say that much. Heat warning remains in effect right across southwestern Ontario into eastern sections of the province, expanded to include some areas to the north as well. So if you were hoping to escape to the cottage, you might not find it's much cooler there. 23 degrees is our forecast overnight low for tonight. That is not very low, and it's certainly uncomfortable for sleeping. Factor in the humidity, it will continue to feel like 31, and then tomorrow afternoon it is going to feel like 41 once you factor in that humidex, feeling like 42 in Niagara Falls and feeling like 43 potentially in Hamilton. So we're not done with the heat just yet. There's Friday, though. We get a little bit of relief. 24 degrees is our forecast daytime high. Saturday, potential for it to be a little bit unsettled. Notice how the temperature creeps back up. So this is a temporary cool down on Friday. Looks like conditions will be a little more pleasant as we head through the middle part of next week. That's your look at the weather for now. Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. The latest Spider-Man film is yet to be released, but it is already setting records. We'll explain its impressive performance after the break.
On air, online, on every platform.
A story you'll only see here.
CTV News Toronto, winner of the RTDNA Award for Best Breaking News.
Another record has been broken.
Watch weeknights at 6.
Winning Olympic gold at the Tokyo Games was definitely a highlight for soccer star Quinn.
But the 26-year-old midfielder has goals that go beyond the net, using their platform to be a voice for the LGBTQ2S+ community. CTV's Rada Ullman has the story.
When Canada's women's soccer team won gold at the Tokyo Olympics, they accomplished something no Canadian women's team had done before.
It was surreal, but yeah, I don't think the gold medal sunk in yet, to be honest with you.
And on the pitch, Quinn was making history of their own, becoming the first transgender and non-binary person to win an Olympic medal.
It was a really proud moment to see at the Olympics, to see Quinn on the Jumbotron when announcing the lineups or even on my accreditation. I think You know, it's comfortable. It's a time where I don't have to think about that or being misgendered.
Quinn came out as transgender in a social media post last fall. And while the gold medal has given the midfielder a greater platform to advocate for the LGBTQ community in sports, they've been doing the work for years. And there are changes happening.
I think it really is only the beginning, though. As you can see, there are multiple athletes at the Olympics who identified within the community and specifically the trans community, and I think that's really exciting.
The work is far from done, but seeing the impact their success and advocacy has had on others in the community.
Having messages from younger trans folks or even people my age trying to navigate their sports communities or other aspects of their life, that's something that's so impactful, and I'm so glad that I can help folks in those ways.
A reward that's as good as gold. Zoraida Allman, CTV News.
And still ahead, a young Torontonian's getting ready to make her Paralympic debut this week. Ali Van Wyck Smart going for gold.
Serena Williams will have to try again next year as she chases a record 24th tying Grand Slam singles title. The 39-year-old is pulling out of the U.S. Open because of a hamstring injury suffered at Wimbledon in June. Williams said on Instagram she's been advised to let it heal and added, "I'll miss seeing the fans, but we'll be cheering everyone on from afar and thanking well-wishers for their support."
The countdown is on for the Toronto International Film Festival, and organizers are advising members to get ready to reserve screenings. Between tomorrow and Saturday, single tickets will go on sale at different times for leadership, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze members. Starting Sunday, booking windows will start for members who bought ticket packages. On September 4th, Contributors Circle, members, and Members 365 can buy single tickets. TIFF gets underway on September 9th.
The Toronto Fringe Festival took place digitally this year, and now organizers are sharing details about the public's response. The Fringe says it garnered more than 48,000 unique page views on its website where performances were screened. 79% of those were from new users who hadn't visited before, and 17% were from outside the country. Organizers say $35,500 was given back to artists who participated in the festival.
COVID-19 is complicating plans to adapt Broadway hit musical Come From Away into a movie.
On the northeast tip of North America, on an island called Newfoundland, there's an airport.
Come From Away tells the true story of a Newfoundland town that hosted thousands of people whose flights were grounded on 9/11. The show's writers say production costs and border restrictions have made shooting a challenge, but they hope the story will become a movie when the time's right. A recorded version of the live show comes out in September.
The Rolling Stones are paying tribute to drummer Charlie Watts after his death was announced yesterday at the age of 80. The band's website has been scrubbed and replaced with a photo of Watts in front of a black curtain. And Mick Jagger shared a photo of Watts laughing behind his drum set. Keith Richards also tweeted a photo of a drum set with a closed sign hanging on it. And Ronnie Wood posted a photo of himself with Watts writing, "I love you, my fellow Gemini. I will dearly miss you. You are the best."
Last night we showed you the trailer for the next Spider-Man movie, and it looks like the trailer has now broken a major record.
Happened.
Deadline reports the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home racked up the most views ever for a movie trailer in its first 24 hours, 355.5 million. That beat the record set by Avengers Endgame in 2018 of 289 million views.
And speaking of the Avengers, a special exhibit of memorabilia from the superhero movies will be staying in Toronto a little bit longer. Marvel Avengers Station is extending its run at Yorkdale by 9 weeks. You can check it out at Yorkdale until October 29.
Stars Tonight is brought to you by Lastman's Bad Boy. Who's better? Nobody.
CTV Tonight. Hump Day means time to put up your feet and unwind with some great TV. It all starts at 7 tonight, right here on CTV.
I am reiterating my call to the province to implement a vaccine certificate program. In the short term, vaccine certificates can help to reduce transmission and limit risk for those who are unvaccinated in settings where precautions cannot be consistently maintained.
Updating our top stories, the province is denying reports it will be adopting a vaccine passport, while a number of local officials call for the measure.
I live a couple blocks away. It's pretty scary, to tell you the truth.
An investigation is underway after a body was found inside a suitcase near Keele and Rogers Road just before 11:30 today. Police have not released any information about the victim or potential suspects.
Former Afghan interpreters are gathering outside the federal immigration minister's office to protest the treatment of Afghan refugees. CTV's Beth McDonnell is there with more. Beth.
Michelle, there are dozens of Afghan interpreters living here in the GTA. They say they're depressed and worried sick about their family members still in Afghanistan. Dealing with Ottawa, they say that they're trying to get answers, but for the past few weeks, it's been nothing but delays and a lack of communication.
We are fighting for our family life.
Voicing fear and anger, dozens of former Afghan interpreters who worked with Canada's armed forces gathered outside the Immigration and Refugees Minister's office demanding action.
They have to save their life. We serve with the Canadian Army. We had a mission with them. We work with the forces. Now we are in Canada. Our families are in danger.
3 weeks now. Everybody sent it an email. No response yet. So if our family is included in the 20,000 people, and they have mentioned clearly the extended family, then why we are not getting any response yet?
The interpreters say they want their parents and siblings brought to safety. The demonstration organized alongside Canadian veterans from the combat mission.
It's a betrayal of my service. It's a betrayal of other Afghan veterans' service. And most importantly, it's a betrayal of the Afghans who took a chance on Canada.
U.S. Special Forces plan to leave Kabul by the end of the month, and there is growing desperation at the airport. This group wants the evacuation treated like an extraction, see some of the rigorous documentation requirements dropped, and create a new category for family members of interpreters who worked with Canada to come to Canada.
We've had firsthand accounts from various different interpreters who are here that people have disappeared. So the Taliban have just taken them somewhere and we don't know what happened to them. And we've heard that other people have been murdered. We have firsthand accounts of people being turned away from the airport because their visa applications were not in color.
I cannot focus on work. I cannot focus on my life. We are totally lost. We are fully stressed.
We are going through kind of like a mental health, mental problems right now, you know. We are keep getting calls from our family, you know, getting threats and no response.
The hope now to get the government to change course, help the Afghans who helped Canada before it's too late. A spokesperson for the minister says they are operating with urgency and are cutting through bureaucratic barriers, that the military is on the ground, and that Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada will contact families when it's time to make their way to the airport. Canada has evacuated more than 2,700 people from Afghanistan during this growing crisis. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. And the situation in Afghanistan is at the center of international attention tonight.
And that's the focus of a discussion on CP24 tonight. We're joined by co-anchors Rashmi Nair and Nick Dixon. Nick, you'll be hearing from former Defense and Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay.
Yeah, he's got some experience on this, Nathan. You know, in 2006, when they were trying to evacuate Canadians out of Lebanon, Peter MacKay was the Foreign Affairs Minister. We'll speak to him about that. And retired W5 journalist Kevin Newman, former CTV News anchor, of course, he's been working with former Canadian military members as well, trying to help get those Afghans to freedom in Canada. But he, along with Peter MacKay, are concerned that they are running out of time, just like we heard in Beth's story.
And Rashmi, you'll also be exploring the impact of the pandemic on mental health.
Yes, the OMA is looking at this, and they're having a discussion tonight, a virtual discussion. We're going to hear from some doctors following that discussion to talk about the issues, mental health among students going back to school, just kids during this pandemic, how hard it's been on them, and also different racialized communities, how this pandemic's impacted them, and what the future looks like. So we'll talk about that on CP24 tonight.
Thank you both. And CP24 tonight airs immediately following this newscast on CP24 from 7 to 9.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar was up a fraction to close at 79.41. American benchmark oil climbed another 82 cents to 68.36 a barrel. And the TSX Composite Index put 39 points on the board, ending the day at 20,587.
Police are searching for a baby miniature donkey allegedly stolen from a farm in Halton Hills. The 3-week-old donkey named Sebastian was taken from the farm sometime between Thursday, August 19th and Friday, August 20th. Investigators say the donkey is still nursing and is too young to be separated from its mother. So far, there has been no information on possible suspects. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
Air Canada is introducing a mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy for all employees and new hires. The airline says it will require workers to be fully vaccinated and report that status by October 30th. Testing will not be offered as an alternative. Porter Airlines last week announced employees would have to be vaccinated or provide a negative test starting September 8th. WestJet says it's working to implement its own policy.
Restaurant owners have reported major challenges hiring staff in the wake of COVID-19 lockdowns, and economists are weighing in on why that could be happening. Some industry insiders say federal supports are keeping low-wage employees from applying. David McDonald with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives says pay could be a factor, but there's a lot of competition for staff. He says concern over future closures could have potential hires looking for work outside the restaurant industry.
Tonight, elevated anxiety as the Afghan rescue mission winds down.
All the nations who've been part of that air bridge have to be out.
Frantic scenes in Kabul as Canadian forces prepare to pull out days ahead of the U.S. deadline. Later on CTV National News.
I'm Zoraida Allman. Coming up, the province is denying reports it will be implementing a vaccine passport. And an investigation is underway after a body was found in a suitcase near Keele and Rogers Road. Toronto's #1 news tonight at 11:30.
All eyes are on Tokyo once again as competition gets underway at the 2020 Paralympic Games.
The event is getting started just like the Olympics did, under the shadow of COVID-19. But despite the added challenges, Team Canada has already made it onto the podium twice. Saskatchewan cyclist Keely Shaw took home Canada's first medal of the Paralympics, snatching bronze in the C4 3,000-meter individual pursuit. Quebec swim star Aurélie Rivard opened her Paralympic campaign with a medal in the 50-meter freestyle, winning the bronze as well. And this is a big week for local Paralympic swimmer Ali Van Wyck Smart.
The 18-year-old is in Tokyo getting ready to make her Paralympic debut with many years ahead of schedule.
Ali Van Wyck Smart never expected to be in Tokyo.
Everyone said I'd be on track for Paris 2024. And my dad was like, yeah, going to Tokyo. And I was like, okay, Dad, sure. But now I'm here, so I guess he was right.
The 18-year-old who will compete in the women's 50-meter backstroke this weekend was once terrified of the water.
I was always worried that I could just drown, and which is kind of funny because I'm a Paralympic swimmer.
Born with cerebral palsy, she spent summers overcoming her fear, swimming at her grandmother's cottage and as part of physical therapy. She dreamed of being a Paralympian, realizing swimming could be her ticket to the Games.
I wanted to be the best, so I found something that I could train and work hard at to become the best.
Here comes Ali Van Wyck Smart of Canada. Huge beaming smile on the face.
At just 16 years old, in her rookie race at the World Para Swimming Championships in London, Van Wyck Smart got both a silver and bronze in backstroke events.
What a debut for Ali Van Wyck Smart of Canada.
Since then, the road to the 2020 Paralympic Games has not been easy. She's been sick physically and mentally.
I'm very grateful to be here.
And excited, training, resting, taking in the village until race day.
The food hall is crazy, but the food is amazing still. That's my favorite part.
And she'll hit the pool in her first race this Saturday night. Well, we have a very special end to our newscast tonight because our very own Lindsay Morrison is about to embark on life's biggest adventure, motherhood.
Yeah, what's amazing is today's the actual due date. You made it this long. You know we're going to miss you. And it's funny, there's so much advice that's been kind of thrown your way. My advice is ignore all that advice. You're going to be a great mom. We're so looking forward to it. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Nathan and Michelle. First of all, thank you to the two of you for your endless support from day one. You have been absolutely amazing. I love this team, and I love getting to deliver the weather forecast every single day. So this is a little bit of a bittersweet day for me, I'm going to be honest, but I am excited about the next chapter, and maybe we'll have some breaking news, not today, but in the next couple of days that I can share with you.
Oh, you better share some pictures. And we have a wonderful person familiar to our viewers who's going to be filling in.
Yes, Michelle Jobin. I am proudly going to be passing the weather wand over to Michelle. We're good friends, and she is so capable. You're going to love her, viewers. And I just want to say, viewers, to everybody who has extended love and support, I feel it, and I thank you, and we so appreciate you tuning in every night. Keep it up.
Well, we're so excited for you and Alistair, and as every parent knows, she'll be back before we know it, right? Time flies.
Exactly. We're going to see you soon, Lindsay.
Thank you so much.
We'll miss you. Well, that's our newscast. Be sure to join Zoraida Allman later tonight for CTV News at 11:30.
You can also stay up to date by going to our website. And a reminder, CP24 Tonight with Rashmi Nair and Nick Dixon begins momentarily on CP24.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, have a great night.
Good night.